Well, hello, and welcome back to the Tao Manifesting Tarot. This is the tarot reading for serious tarot reading thinking people. I say that every time. That's the first thing I say because I want to separate myself from all the rest of the tarot stuff that you see in the world around you, mostly, of course, the internet. Done tarot for over 20 years. Tarot is a science, but it's the science of potential. In other words, over my 20 plus years, I have never, ever seen anybody predict anything of any consequence with tarot. Haven't seen it. Tarot, and you look at the screen right now, you see the 5 cards. That's all you're going to see because I'm focusing your attention from all the distractions that are out there in the world right now, really weighing down a lot of people, frankly. You come here to get a real life tarot reading, which talks about potential. Potential is a very tricky thing. It's individualized. In other words, you could go to astrology or numerology. I've done those for over 50 years. That's 50. Those are sciences of cycles. And if you know the cycles, you can pretty much figure out what the heck is going on in the world at any given time. Now, you may not have the specifics, you may not have the full details, but you're still going to understand. For example, coming up in this next year, we're going to have Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini if you do Western astrology. Uranus into Gemini. It's an interesting combination just to begin with, but let's go back in time and see what has happened, talking about cycles, what's happened when Uranus has been in Gemini. We can start back, I can go further back than this, but let's start in 1356. That was the 100 Years' War. 1440, the Gutenberg Bible. 1524, the War of the Peasants in Germany. 1608, the founding of Jamestown in the so-called New World. Very critical because that's really what established the New World. And the New Order, should I say, too. In 1690, the U.S. Post Office began. 1774, U.S. Revolution was in full swing. 1858, the Civil War. 1942, World War II. It's coming up in 2026. Well, actually, it's hitting off later this year and will swing its way into the next 7 years. 2026 is interesting because it happens to be the 250th birthday of the United States. Kind of interesting, huh? Because when it happened back in 1774, it kind of set up the revolution of 1776. That energy's coming back. So that's why I say astrology and numerology, once you know the cycles, you can predict. You can't do that with tarot. Tarot is potential. It's energy. You got the 5 cards here. Anybody who does more than my 5 cards, in my estimation, really doesn't understand what tarot is. They're predicting with it, which is only going to blow up in their face. Not that they care, as long as they have you signed on the internet and you're liking them. They don't care. They're worried about the algorithms. I too worry about the algorithms because it gives me a better situation in regards to my placement in the internet, and so that's important. So please like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, share, like, subscribe, and share. Good, I got that out of the way. The importance of tarot is to talk about an energy, a frequency. If you got 5 cards, you kind of bring those 5 frequencies together and kind of develop a theme. Now, here's the tricky part. You get 10 people in a room, all 10 will hear the message. 1 out of the 10 will resonate. Does that mean it's a failure for the other 9? No. It just means that your frequency hasn't matched with the reading. That's typical. Even if you do astrology, that's typical. Because there's so many variations, like I was just talking about the Uranus-Gemini thing, so many ways that can turn out. You get the basic theme. There's some sort of revolutionary act, whether it's bringing the Bible to people, getting the peasants in Germany to revolt, getting the American colonists to revolt, something. There's some change. So you know that that's the energy. But the specifics, that's where it gets tough. And so it's the same thing with the reading in tarot. You may enjoy the reading, gain some helpful information, some insight, but it doesn't really resonate with you. Well, that's okay. You're the 9 out of the 10 it's not resonating with. Fine. I do a reading tomorrow, next week, next month. I do a reading every single day, frankly. You will, if you tune in every day and give yourself a chance, you will find the frequency that works for you at that moment. Go for it. You find that resonation, go run like hell, because the door is opening up for you. So that's why I say this is so important. There is some, in fact, coming up right about now, you can see most of the planets lining up in the sky if you have a clear sky. This is a rare, rare event. We are in rare, rare, rare times historically. You know that. So I don't do the tarot reading to pander to your insecurities or your entertainment. I am focused on you taking a look at the energy and seeing how it applies in your life and then applying it, because that's what tarot is all about. Potential. So let's begin. Middle card, Oracle card. It sets the mood for the reading. The card today is Imagine. Imagination is the key to manifestation. Yeah. You got to make the pictures in your head. You got to tell the story to yourself. You got to see it, hear it, feel it, taste it. Once you do that, once you got that formed, leave it alone. The energy's already out there. Now, we do manifest all the time. Usually it's negatively. Oh, God, I don't want that to happen. Oh, man, I don't want this. I don't want that. Oh, person, oh, my God, that's the wrong choice. And then magically it shows up. Well, because you're doing all the things to manifest, but negatively. So your imagination is the key. And at this time particularly, you're feeling all these planets lining up. It's going to be dramatic if you look, like I said, if you can look in the sky, you're going to see 6 or 7 of the planets lining up right across the sky. It's phenomenal. But then we also have all of the major planets changing signs, including Uranus moving to Gemini this year, moving into next year. When you get that much energy moving, you can feel it, and you can feel it. Just take a look around you. What's making the headlines? You're being pulled and pushed and shoved, manipulated. Up to this point, we've tolerated it. Question is, how much longer? With those planets lining up, I don't think a whole lot longer. Just imagine. That's the key. What do you see in the future? 750th birthday of the United States coming up July 4th, 2026, a year and a half from now. What do you see for America? What do you want to see for your life? The devil's in the details. The devil's in the details. Here's the meme for today from Carl Jung. The deep critical thinker has become the misfit of the world. And it's not a coincidence. You see, to maintain order and control, you must isolate the intellectual, isolate the sage, isolate the philosopher, isolate the savant before their ideas wake people up. We're not talking woke. That's bullshit designed by the master puppeteers. We're talking about being conscious, alert, perceptive. The deep critical thinker, as Carl Jung said. They don't want that information to get out. The intellectual, the sage, the philosopher, the savant, those people who make you think, oh, they're the enemy, and you can see that. Again, devil's in the details. So let's take a look at the details, and we see in the first cards on the left side, 2 devils, 2 different decks, 2 devils. What does it tell you? Well, on the surface, it tells you that we're dealing with a kind of devil, or devilish energy, to be sure. There's no question about that. However, what it doesn't tell you is that it's the devil inside each of us that's the problem. It's the reason we're not standing up and fighting for our freedom, our independence. It's the reason that we run around like sheep, bitching, complaining, moaning. Oh, life is unfair, but we're not doing a damn thing to change it. Took a first step, got a different administration in. I'm giving them to that birthday coming up, July 4th, 2026. The new administration only has a year and a half with me. If they don't make it better for the middle class and the poor in America in a very solid, positive, constructive way, well, it might be time to resurrect the 1776 spirit. You know what I'm saying? So the devil is within us, and that really needs to be paid attention to, because it talks about bondage, talks about despair, talks about addiction. And doesn't that describe most people? We're addicted to tech. Ooh, I don't have to think, man, we got this AI stuff and it's going to do all my thinking for me. No, it's not. Ooh, I'm addicted to fatty foods. Ooh, I'm addicted to sports. It's a constant addiction. That's the way it was planned. The devil's in the details, and you start with the devil in you and me and all of our individual devils. What the hell are you addicted to? What are you in bondage with? You're doing it to yourself. Next card over is the Knight of Wands in reverse, meaning that you are thinking about this, but you haven't done anything about it yet. Knight of Wands talks about confidence, courage, passion. You are imagining some world that is a hell of a lot better than what you have right now. It is a world that you're plugged into. You're actually living your life. You're not just existing. You're not the spectator in the stands. You're actually living your life. Because right now, we're all spectators in stands. They can do anything they want to us. They can raise the price of food, raise the price of cars, make products shittier, crappier. We'll buy them. We'll have them. We have no choice. Devil's in the details, and the devil's in us. Imagine. Think of something better, more positive, and that's the energy that you're playing with right now in terms of the Knight of Wands. Confidence, courage. Good stuff. Final card is the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords, well, first of all, swords is thoughts, ideas, right? Information. Queen is very perceptive, very clever, very realistic. Straight talking, no bullshit. Now, we're talking about the devil inside of us. The reason that devil even exists the way it does, because we've let it. We have not been honest with ourselves. We haven't been straight talking with ourselves. We haven't looked in the mirror and said, you're a dumb son of a bitch. Wake up. We haven't done that. I think we're beginning to see that situation rise. And in fact, with all the planets moving like they're going to be moving in the next year and a half, plus Uranus going into Gemini, as I highlighted a moment ago, dramatic change, hopefully positive, is what's in store. I say hopefully because devil's in the details. You could want change, and if you're not focused, if you're not straight talking, honest with yourself, the devil in you wins and you're going to get shit. And you ain't going to want that. You got to stand up. You got to have passion. You have to have courage like the Knight of Wands. Imagine something better. Pay attention to the intellectual, the sage, the philosopher, the savant. These are critical thinkers. Let them awaken you. Imagine something better, because the devil's in the details. You can shape the details. That's the reading for today. Back again tomorrow with another Tau Manifested tarot reading. Between now and the next time you and I do this, peace and blessings.